Hi everyone, this is the Last Angry Geek, and I'm joined today for a very special commentary track on a very special episode by none other than the nostalgia critic himself, Mr. Doug Walker.
Oh, I'm not that special.
Oh no, you're good, kid. I've seen some of your stuff. You're real good.
Not as special as Hayden Christensen there.
Well, no, but who can be?
The funny thing is that people think that we put in a cardboard cutout, but no, that was actually him. It
He's
just
that
looks like a
good.
cardboard
He's that
cutout. He's
good.
that stiff.
He's that good. So let me talk about the origins of this episode, because this actually goes back to Boldly Flee, and I don't know if Doug knows this, but I was a little put out because you were so busy editing To Boldly Flee, you were doing all these crossovers, and there was no Last Angry Geek crossover, so I felt a little put out by that.
I told people that, we're kind of getting rid of the critics soon. Just anyone that wants a crossover, just sort of throw up your hands now.
Yeah, somehow I never heard about that. So,
well, I didn't want to do one with you, but then after I came back, I had no excuse. People don't know. I actually got rid of the critic just so I wouldn't have to do a crossover with you. So
there's our old friend David Myers.
I love that cameo. Just the way he comes out waving and stuff. He just looks so happy.
Whenever I use him, he is happy. He's thrilled to do these.
Yeah, he looked happy with you yelling and screaming and hitting him and all the abuse and stuff.
He's my Igor.
He's holding back tears, you can tell, in that clip. You might have seen one come down on the left side, but we took it out with CG.
So anyway, then you came back. You brought the critic back. I thought then, okay, well, then Demo Reel comes around. And I think, well, great. Well, I'm going to be the first guest star on Demo Reel because I'm doing Fabrizio. I'm going to be the first critic to guest star on the show. And then, right as my episode comes out, you have Juwario do a voiceover right before I appear. So I got that taken away from me.
It's all about making you suffer.
Thank
you. Haven't noticed yet.
So finally, I wrote this episode, and this little opening was kind of my little way of venting my frustrations here. So we kind of go back to the plot hole. We tie in the Search for the Geek movie I did. And we have a little fun at Demo Reel's expense, always a good thing.
Yeah, a lot of people are always like, so how do you feel about, Demo Reel being taken off and stuff? And it's like, it sucks about this, and I don't regret it. I'm still glad I did it and I like the episodes. But I'll never, anytime you fail at something, you should always be able to make fun of it.
You've made a career of making fun of your failures.
Yes, exactly.
I'm still waiting for the HD remastered Emo Jones episodes to come back.
It'll be the special feature on the Melvin DVD.
There we go. So have you seen or read The Dark Knight Returns?
You mean the comic, right?
Yes, the movie we reviewed here.
No, what now are you talking about?
Had you read the comic book?
I have bits and pieces. I started to read it before. It was sort of Rob one Christmas just got my dad all these famous Batman comics, and one of them was The Dark Knight Returns, and I read through it, and it was interesting because I remember when I was a kid, it came out and you had the famous, the lightning strike, that great symbol there. Yeah, and so I decided to read through it, and it wasn't my Batman, but I still found it really fascinating. And, before Frank Miller just did the exact same thing and went insane.
Yeah.
Where before he used to be insane, but it was interesting. Now he's just insane.
There's the cover.
Yeah, I love that cover. I think that's such a good cover. But there it's like, if that's a triumphant,
10 pounds of
I
hamburger,
don't want to see what
please.
the losing one is.
Yeah, it's a seminal comic. It's probably his most famous work, and it's probably his best work. Like I said, once the 90s hit, that's when he lost it. Batman just started saying punk in every other word, and it was just like, you couldn't take him seriously anymore. Leo Thompson, that sci-fi guy, did a really funny cameo there for us. He was a really good sport about that. And that was going back to all the numerous crossovers you were doing right before you retired the critic. This is how timely I am. I go back 2 years for my jokes. But he was really a good sport about doing that. I had not actually met Sci-Fi Guy until he asked me to do Dr. Wiki on one of his reviews. And then we met shortly thereafter in person when he came down to do the most recent charity telethon.
He's a real nice guy. Every time we talk to him, he's just really laid back and really upbeat and just a real cool guy.
What's your favorite Batman story? If you had to pick one, movie, TV, comics. I mean,
Okay, I mean, honestly, it's still the Keaton one, and I think a lot of that is owed to just the atmosphere and Keaton in general, because I thought he was such a good Batman. But it's hard to say because then like my second favorite story would probably be Dark Knight, but my second favorite Batman would be Conroy. So it's hard to say. There's just so many good ones. I mean, that's why Batman is so great because you can just do so many interpretations, and they can be so different, but it can still be Batman. And I think that's just the signs of a really, really good character.
yeah. I mean, he's a gothic Robin Hood essentially. I mean, except he is rich.
He'd have to rob from himself.
Yeah, yeah.
I always love that.
I
I'm
think that's
trying
what
to
we
remember
forget.
what.
It's based more on Zorro because they always have that. He's coming out of the Zorro movie, so he's kind of like the crusader for the people, really.
Well, I was gonna say in the original, like original whatever. I don't even know if they show what movie they were watching, but because it's always Zorro is the movie that they're always coming out of for the most part. Whenever they do it, was that in the original story? Or was that a Frank Millerism?
Oh, geez, I've never read the original like Bob Kane origin story, so I couldn't really say if it was when the Zorro came in exactly.
I mean, I like it because it sort
I
of
think
makes
it's
sense.
probably
You
I
would
think
tie
it was
those two
probably
together.
added later on, but I don't think it was in there originally. But I'm not 100% positive on that.
Yeah, I don't think it was. My guess would be it wouldn't be the Bob Kane one because I don't know if they would put little details like that in there. But yeah, I did. I actually did like that. Some could say it's kind of cliche, but I think it's kind of cool.
Next to the everyone loves the Joker, but next to the Joker, who'd your favorite bad villain be?
Uh, probably Catwoman. I like that she's pretty much Batman. Very similar to Batman, except that she plays both sides and she's kind of an opportunist. Um, and I sort of like that. Next to Joker, she's the only one that could best him because they are so similar. So where Joker is the exact opposite, where he always has to think the opposite with her, it's like we're almost exactly the same. How do you defeat someone that's almost exactly the same and has the same mindset, except for like that one little difference? And how can you exploit that one little difference? So yeah, that's probably my second favorite. I like all the different interpretations of her too.
And Catwoman's been more of a hero for the last decade. Here's my little Monty Python moment. Three, two, sir, two. I even did a little British accent on there. I don't think anybody caught it, but my favorite would probably be. I love the animated series episode that introduced Mister Freeze.
Yeah, that was well, and that's where they finally started to give him a little bit more depth, and they came up with the wife story, which was like just so much better. Because before it was just like, oh, this guy's a cool gun, and that was it. And it's like suddenly gave him this really fascinating backstory. It's like, wow, guy.
I can only hope somewhere a warm hand waits for mine. Now we've worked together a number of times over the years. I mean, actually, my very first video was True Internet Story, and that was where I kind of did played Herlido, and I did the whole the false expose of the Nostalgia Critic. We did the riff tracks together. I mean,
Yeah, they did two riff tracks together.
We did the I riffs that won us the contest and then got us the Riff Tracks Presents.
Yeah.
It all has to be classified, folks. But I've always enjoyed. I think we work together because our sense of humor gel so well. I mean, I like having you and Rob do something like every 6 months or so. I'll ask you guys for a cameo or something. I've been trying to get Rob to do something with me for a while now. He keeps blowing me off. Thanks, Rob.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not only is your writing really good, but I think you're. I'm always discovering like these other voices. I'm just like, shit, I should have gotten Brian to do that. And the one where I was like so happy when I did finally use it was in the final demo reel when you were Schwarzenegger on the TV, and I still think that's just like the funniest Schwarzenegger I ever heard. And you had different levels of how Schwarzenegger it should be, because you had sort of the serious one like this, and then you had the one like this that sounded like a monster. And of course, I had to go with the monster one.
And then you went super hard like dieser
Don't worry, Jimmy, I'll save you. Every time I do that. I was actually really concerned because, like, a very serious moment happens during that scene, but, like, I was like, is the voice going to be too funny? Like, are people going to be laughing so hard over that?
You with that voice. I'm like, no, I did that. And then you just put, like, growls at the end in parentheses. I love you, Jimmy. Parentheses growls. I'm like, what the hell is this? And like, just make it like a sound at the
Yeah,
end.
I mean, everyone knows the Schwarzenegger growl.
So what episode of Demo Reel is this? Oh no, we're doing commentary on Dark Knight Returns. Sorry. Oh, crowbar to the head. His one weakness.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, I just because something works as a comic doesn't mean it works as a movie. I just didn't think it told the story faithfully, but I don't know. It just Peter Weller didn't do it for me. I mean, the other voices were fine, but I had issues with this. A lot of people said I was, 2 stars. I would have given it 3. I would have given it 4. A lot of people really like this one, but it's my show and the review sticks.
Well, and for me, I get flashbacks to that animated series episode where they do the different styles and they actually do the Frank Miller one, and
Right.
I just again like I just saw this, didn't I? It almost looks exactly the same.
Well, the further sins of the DCNU, they just introduced Carrie Kelly into the modern continuity. It's like, shouldn't she?
I love this.
This is I don't have an entire room painted green like you guys do at the studios. I just have a cloth green screen, but the effect came out pretty damn good, I think.
Yeah, you're right. You do damn good on your keying.
Thank you. It's been a learning process, but I just I tweak it as best I can. I did make you bring a suit and other clothes for this because I knew we were going to be doing a few costume pieces. This was filmed at my house entirely. This was a long, long process because I think I first asked you about it like at the beginning of the year. And then when I finally started writing it, I got caught in my TV shows because Game of Thrones and Doctor Who were right on top of each other. So I had to do Doctor Who first. And then I immediately had to go into Game of Thrones. And all the while, I was watching this video and slowly writing this episode when I had free time. And then I finally got it done, and we kind of traded the script back and forth for a little bit. And it was kind of a, well, when can our schedules sync up here? When can you come in and work with me? And
1 year later, it finally happened.
just about. It was about 6 months it took to get this episode out, which was a long time even for me.
Well, I think something about comic book reviews like are usually cursed because I remember when I did Superman 4 with Lewis, like that one also, like just every time we would start it, something would happen or a sound wouldn't record or something happened to the footage or we ran out of time. It's like all this stuff. It's like what was originally supposed to be came out very different. So yeah, just something about the comic book ones.
Well, now I'm like, oh, is everything running okay? I'm saying, yeah.
Oh, what a charming smile.
But then then it was the post production took a while, but we got here. So for better or for worse. And then people were saying, like, the reason I put that one line in about people not liking how I do my shows, that's a complaint I got very early on. People said, "Oh, you do all this kind? You should be mixing the review in with the recap stuff." And I knew a lot of your fans would be jumping in on this one, and they wouldn't be used to the way I do it. So that's why I specifically put that joke in there. And of course, yeah, we got a lot of people saying, Nazi boobs. We got a lot of people complaining about the style, and I kind of felt bad for a while. But then one of my fans on my Facebook page said, you weren't doing a Nostalgia Critic episode. He was guest starring on a Last Angry Geek episode. So I kind of had to keep that in mind. This is just the way I
it's for
do it.
video.
Hey, you know what, folks? We'll be right back. And welcome back.
Back to the show.
With
Nazi boobs!
Nazi boobs, and then gunplay, and Carrie Kelly running around inspired a line that I wrote for Doug to speak in his narration called, where it said Carrie Kelly practices rooftop parkour. He records all his lines, I get them back, and it comes out, Carrie Kelly practices rooftop poker.
I think that's how it was written, though, or I tried.
It might be. Maybe rooftop poker is the big thing. You can't play in the streets anymore, so you get away from cops by going upstairs.
I do remember recording that and just being like, I hope this is what he's looking for, because I tried one with poker and then one with like pokar or parker. But it's like I wasn't sure how to say
which is a kind of a French rooftop thing. If you've ever played the game Mirror's Edge, that's what the whole game is based on. That it's just a kind of a rooftop athletics thing.
Okay, yeah, because I saw it, I'm like, I hope this is okay, but what can you do?
Ended up cutting it. That's all right.
You know, it's like the Robin costume. I thought making Robin a girl was a good idea because the Robin costume is so distinctly a female costume. I never got why it was ever put on a boy.
Yeah.
So I thought it made more sense.
Oh, in early comic book days, there's a lot more thigh showing on your men. I mean, look at the '70s X-Men costumes. Colossus has those knee-high boots and then the short shorts.
Yeah, but he's like all metal, so he can get away with it.
Okay.
That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Here's our little tribute to a show we both loved once called Lost.
Yeah, how'd that show do? Did it get more than one season? Or?
I don't remember.
Oh, I hope it ended strong because people
No,
be
I'm
pissed
sure
if it didn't end strong.
No, we were both big fans of Lost in the day. I forever have been doing this Benjamin Linus impression of the character Michael Emerson played, and it was since he was doing the voice of the Joker in this one, it finally gave me an excuse to finally do this impression that's frankly mediocre at best. I regret
Well,
not giving myself a black eye and a bunch of cuts and bruises for this, but
well, I remember too. Because you had this idea. I thought it was a funny idea where you had a talk show with Benjamin Linus,
right.
and everybody who would come out, like he would just stare at them, you know, with their big eyes, and just be like, it feels like Jack Nicholson. He'd be like, "Hello, Jack."
Today my guest is Jack. With me as always is John, because he always extended. If the name started with J, he always kind of stretched it out.
Jack.
And I always thought you'd do a good block there. We just had to. I had to get you to squint your eyes and talk a little raspier.
Yeah, I haven't watched the show in a while, so I was trying to remember like how he did it. So yeah, I was thinking about shaving my head.
Skits end with me ashamed. Sorry.
I was thinking about shaving my head, but I had such little hair anyway, it didn't seem like it would matter.
I'm reminded of the Charlie Brown thing where he finally wins a contest and the prize is free haircuts. And his dad's a barber anyway, so what's the point, you know? And he doesn't have any hair to begin with. So.
It's pretty good.
And the kids vomiting green smoke. The talk show host, I was going to make a joke about it, but we didn't get to it. It just, for sake of time, I cut it. But the talk show host is voiced by Conan O'Brien. In the comic book, he looks like David Letterman. But for obvious reasons, they couldn't use Dave's face without paying him a big fat check.
They'll just have to have Robin kind of look like David Letterman.
Right. The gap in the teeth and everything.
Yeah. Can't give her a cigar. All that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, we're in for some fun now. Hey, Paul! Sorry, that was my David Letterman there. I do a lot of terrible impressions, and you'll hear them all throughout the course of this commentary track.
There's more to come.
What was your favorite bit on this review we did?
I kind of like the I like the president bit, you know, whatever, going to the monster.
Oh, the peace process.
Yeah, I just like the way something about the way that worked out. But something about you with the shades too. It just looked funny, and you just stand by the whole time, just like, yeah, good, doing good. Ouch.
Yeah, ocular trauma doesn't slow the Joker down.
Yeah, again, it's Frank Miller. You know that doesn't hurt.
It's all raspberry jam, delicious raspberry jam. Take that, Mom.
Yeah, there's always something to when, and I think this is, I don't want to say a problem, but sort of an interesting dilemma you got to deal with is that, you know, comic book movies, especially now, just comic books in general, are trying to be more dark and gritty, and when you do that, you try to make them more realistic, but that can draw a lot of people out of it, you know, because they're like, oh, wait a minute, then how is this possible? If he was wearing a bat suit, how would blah, blah, blah? So it's hard to find that balance.
Right. I thought the Nolan films did that very well. It really felt like a superhero story that was taking place in our world.
Yeah,
because it used technology that we had available to us and just maybe upped it a little bit or advanced it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, but there's definitely stuff like, if you really wanted to nitpick, it's like, how did the Joker know that the helicopter's going to go down that alleyway and, like, get the cords out to destroy? It's like his plans are, like, beyond, you know, perfect. But at the same time, I think that's where you go, well, it's still a comic book, though, you know? It's that leeway. So, but I know what people are talking about when they're like, you know, it takes them out of it or whatever. But, yeah, it's tough finding that balance, especially just comic books nowadays. I think for so many years they were seen as kid stuff. Now there's like this big haul to try to get them as dark and gritty as possible. Say, we're not kid stuff.
Well, and The Dark
Um,
Knight Returns did a lot for that because, like I said, I think it was
yeah.
seen as a kid's book, and then Frank Miller's Batman stuff comes out, and it's ultra violent and very serious and topical, and using real people that we recognize from real life, like Reagan and Letterman and stuff.
Yeah, and I did like that. I do sort of feel. I mean, again, it's someone who doesn't read that much comic books, but from what I've seen, it still seems like there's this big emphasis on the dark, and I love the dark stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it is just like, holy smoke, let's get a touch more variety.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Batman dance anymore? Remember the Bat to see?
Back away, kids.
Don't make eye contact.
Pure West.
I think we're watching the Pure West right now with Batman on a horse.
Yeah. Because it's a horse. Anyway.
I always find strange when.
This was,
Okay.
sorry, let's, getting back to the making of this. This was about, like I said, it took about 6 months. We got you in for a day. Dave was nice enough to come in, not just for the cameo. I actually wrote that very late, but he was nice enough to come in and run the camera for us because I knew we'd both be on camera at the time. I wanted somebody there to handle that stuff while we were busy acting, quote unquote.
My telepathy's not as good as it used to be. Can't quite do it with my mind, but I'm working on it.
Okay. Telekinesis, dear boy.
That too.
Okay.
It's so bad I can't even get the word right.
And as I was editing, I started teasing the Facebook and Twitter fans with little still images of us together. This one coming up was one right here of you choking me, and that, just people really responded to that. They said, "Hey, that's great." Nostalgic critic Philly in the Last Angry Geek. No, no.
Or Brian dying, please.
Yeah. I always write you abusing me for some reason.
I think anyone who has themselves in the main comedic role, that knows what they're doing, it has to be able to have abuse happen to them. They have to be
right
butt of their own jokes.
Right.
Because I have worked with people that like, I want to do something funny, and they sometimes don't seem to realize, well, the comedy has to come from you. You are the one that has to be partaking in the misery. And there are some people, like, if I want to do it with a celebrity or something like that, who don't want to do it, or just aren't down for that. And, sometimes we don't film it, but it's sort of like that's part of it. You have to be able to look like a fool.
Right. Well, the biggest influence on my comedy has always been Jack Benny. And Jack, he had a very simple philosophy, He gave his guest stars all the good jokes. He made himself the butt of the jokes. He said, at the end of the day, they're not going to remember who told what joke. They're just going to remember that they laughed at it. So he turned himself. He was a miser. He was stingy. He was vain. He thought he was talented, but he couldn't play the violin. I mean, he was the butt of all these terrible jokes, but people loved it, and then they loved him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like it's all based on misery. So unless you're willing to kind of look silly and show people you have a good sense of humor by making yourself look silly, you're not gonna last very long.
But I do have you beat me up a lot. I think going back to the first True Internet story, you beat me up at the end of that. I had a cameo.
Sorry, I kick you on the ground.
My first top 11 list, I had a cameo. I came over to your house. Why top 11? You ended up beating me up and shooting me. I mean, I choked me in this way. It feels right, you abusing me. I don't know.
Well, I think that's because you're a masochist, but I'm a sadist, so it works out okay.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Now Bruce Wayne with the cane. I don't know.
I forget, in any of the universes, is Carrie, is she ever recognized, or are people legitimately like, who is that? Because like she doesn't wear a mask or anything. It's just the same glasses she usually wears, or maybe they're a little greener or something. But I mean,
I made a mention of this in the review, and that she just kind of, I thought in the comics she kind of ran away from home and became Robin. But in the movie, it seems like it's a part-time job. But I don't know. Yeah, nobody ever recognized. Hey, hi, Carrie. It's Robin. No. But she's only had a handful of appearances, so, it's one of those. There's not a lot to check on.
When Oh, I think the funniest one. Well, because that's always sort of the thing with Robin too. It's like even though it's technically a mask that he's wearing, it's like what does it really cover? It's just like the little bit over the eyes and that's it.
At least the last one, Damien had a hood too, but
Yeah, I mean, even like with in The Incredibles, I remember that scene too. She's like, "Keep these masks on. Your identity is the most important thing. Don't let anyone discover you." It's like it's just covering a little bit over and up top and under their eyes.
It's never that great for. And it's still a standard to this day. Like, see, there's David Letterman.
Can use them in the comic, but not in the animated movie.
Yeah.
Tease. Well, and some of this definitely did sort of work its way into the Nolan movies too. I sort of like how Nolan wanted to combine a lot of the various stories, like the famous stories that were told about Batman. And I think that was sort of like
chose his bits. He knew which would work and what wouldn't work.
Yeah, it seemed like Burton sort of did more like the Killing Joke style Batman, and Nolan sort of did the Miller and like the was it the Last Halloween or the Final Halloween? I forget what it's called.
The Last Halloween.
Yeah, like he sort of took a lot from those. So I like that they sort of have like these individual stories. It's like we're not exactly telling this story, but it's like we're going for that feel, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah. My big complaint about the story is they turned Superman into such a tool. He's the government's lapdog in this, and I'm like, that didn't really. That always felt like Frank Miller's disdain for the character.
Yeah, it's even when I was talking about Man of Steel, I was talking about how bland like the Clark character is and stuff like that. I totally agree though. Superman is like one of the hardest characters to write for because he is supposed to be the all-American icon. He is supposed to be everything that's perfect and good and stuff, and that's an incredibly boring character to write for. So it's.
Well, John Byrne did something very clever. He made Clark Kent more important than Superman. Superman is just Clark Kent's secret identity. Well, now more recently, Clark Kent is Superman's secret identity. Superman is the real person, not Clark Kent, and I don't think that works as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm not reading many of the comics, but in film and TV and stuff like that, the only one I felt like they really captured it, like, wow, this is a fascinating person, was the Christopher Reeve one. And the anime one's not bad, the TV show. Again, but they have such a difficult task ahead of them because they don't even have to do it just for a movie. They have to have a whole show based around this boar. So it's
right.
it's really difficult. It's like writing for Mickey Mouse. It's like when you have to make him perfect, it's like, what can you do with him? Like what you said about comedy, how, it's like to make something funny, you have to be able to take a few kicks and be the butt of a joke and stuff like that. But if you're supposed to be perfect, you're supposed to be this icon, that becomes incredibly difficult. I mean, you practically can't do it.
That's the extent of my special effects, folks. The whole going back, we forgot about this. I forgot about this, but the whole Allison Nazi exploitation thing. Everyone and their mother yelled out "Brad" at me. Brad does Nazi exploitation. You should have used him for the joke. And I'm like, okay, yes, you're right. But I realized that halfway through editing, so that was my bad. And I've worked with Brad before. I love Brad, but I hadn't worked with Allison, so I really wanted to do something with her. So that's why I gave her the cameo.
Allison's hair is nicer than Brad's too.
Yeah, well, yes, and she has much more of it. But then, and at the end here, we have the always dependable Louis Lovehog who did this cameo for me, and it ties into the beginning because I don't know why you're there, and then it's revealed you thought I was Linkara, so that's why.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of my favorite jokes in this.
And then I give Sci-Fi the guy the little yes at the end because I think it's funny in threes. You hit him twice, and then you reward him the third time. So. Yes. I'm a big fan of the funny in threes rule.
I love how big you make your credits.
What's that?
I love how big you make your credits.
Oh, thank you. I just started scrolling them about a year ago. Used to be still, images blinking in and out. Anyway, Doug, thanks for joining me both on this episode and on this commentary. It was a real trip. I had a great time working with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. Always fun working with you. Where's my chicken fingers?
The man never eats a vegetable.
Chicken's a vegetable.
The breading's a vegetable. Everything's turning up Sci-Fi Guy. I can't believe he actually said that.
He's gonna make a T-shirt out of that now.
See you, folks.
Bye.